The Tan Man Jam Man Show is live on the air on ISC Sports Network. As you can see, Tanner is not here yet. Should be here in a few minutes as he was forced to golf today in a work golf outing. I'm sure he'll be complaining about the heat as if either of us care that he was out there. But his dad, Eric Lee, is with me right now tonight, as he was last week with Tanner, as he filled in admirably as I was under the weather. So thanks for filling in. How you doing tonight there, Eric?
Good. He called in the bullpen, called for the old righty.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in.
Yeah, throwing the heat tonight too.
Oh yeah, I can bring it about 44 mile an hour with a little movement.
You know, I'd actually like to see how hard I can throw. Back like in my prime high school, I think I'd sit around 78 to 82 on a good day. I think one throw would just my rotator cuff would just explode.
Yeah. I don't think it'd be a pretty scene. You know, people probably think they throw it harder than they really do. Kind of like in golf. Oh, I can hit it 270 and it's really about 230.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if I broke 60, I think I'd be I'd be pleased with 60 mile an hour at this stage of my life.
When you take your little daughter to one of those state fair or county fairs in Illinois or something, they usually have those things. You can see how fast you throw it. You see if you can still crank it over 60.
They'd have to drag me away from the funnel kick booth, but I would I would do that just for her, just to see how how hard I can throw. I do have a trivia question for you.
For me, all right.
For you and Tanner. Once Tanner gets here, I'll give it to him as well. There is only one Major League Baseball player in history to have made the All-Star team with the same team in both the American League and the National League. Only one player ever to make the All-Star game in both the American League and National League with the exact same team in both leagues.
So it's not a rename.
Correct.
Okay.
So Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Arlington Public House. Arlington Public House is upscale cuisine and cocktails with a casual atmosphere, located 703 Main Street in Rochester, Indiana. Over the weekend, they had a mouth-watering New York strip steak topped with a flavorful peach chimichurri and juicy grape tomatoes, complemented by a side of smoky, charred sweet corn and roasted baby bakers. It looks absolutely fantastic. And pizza, in Monday is pizza night. They have dill pickle, supreme, cheese, pepperoni, and margarita pizza. What do you want to start with now? You want to talk some golf? I'm sure you want to talk some golf.
Okay, we can talk some golf.
I'm sure Tanner, once he gets in, will want to share his thoughts as well, because I know he's a big Bryson guy. What did you think about Rory's choke job in a sense yesterday?
I'm afraid you really can't call it anything but a choke job. Not so much the last putt. That's the one people are going to remember, because he had to have it, to put a little pressure on Bryson. But 2 holes earlier, he missed I think it was 2-foot 10-inch putt. He was 496 out of 496 this year on putts 3 feet or less. And what a bad time to have a little bit of a muscle spasm and pull it left, because you honestly, as successful as he is, you almost feel sorry for him, because he's had this 10-year major drought. He's so good, but I've seen it happen to Greg Norman 20 years ago. It happened all the time. Phil Mickelson ran through that stage of his career, and we all got spoiled by Tiger, because he never happened to him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in contention, he won. And Rory, he's kind of been the voice of the PGA Tour now for 4 or 5 years, especially with this LIV. And Bryson is kind of the opposite. He was kind of the spokesman for LIV. So even the networks, I think, were a little disappointed, because they can't pump up Bryson too much, because they don't show him, on a weekly basis. So it was pretty interesting TV, even though there was a few others in the hunt, Finau and Cantlay, who are both really good players. you knew it was a 2-man race for the last 3 hours of it. So I don't know. Did you happen to watch any of it?
I watched the end. I didn't really watch a whole lot of it, but I saw Rory just look miserable sitting there waiting for Bryson to finish his round, and said he peeled out of there about before Bryson could even sign his scorecard.
Yeah, and I think if Rory makes that, I think it was 3-foot 9-inch putt on hole 18, but it broke to the right.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who plays golf knows that a fast one breaking to the right for a right-hander it's got choke written all over it. I mean, I've done it for that $3 Nassau I play on Saturdays every time. But if he makes that, then Bryson's forced to get a up and down from that 55-yard bunker shot, and he hit it incredible. But if he knows he has to get up and down, that's a whole different world than knowing that if you don't, you're at least in a play.
Yeah, get it fairly close, and you give yourself a good shot to at least.
It's kind of interesting. I went to look, and since 2020, the last 18 majors, 8 of them have been won by guys in the Live League right now.
Wow,
which is 43%. So I looked a little bit further. Since 2010, it's 26 of the 58 majors, which is still over 40%, are won by Live guys, or guys who are now on Live.
Mm-hmm.
And to put that in perspective, there's only 12 to 14 Live guys playing in these 156-person tournaments. So golf desperately needs somehow for these guys to get back together on more than just 4 occasions a year.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good at TV.
Yeah. 5 years ago, I think Bryson might have been one of the most unlikable.
Absolutely.
Maybe the most unlikable. And it seems like he's completely turned that around for whatever reason. I don't even know what to attribute that to. Maybe he's no longer a weirdo.
I know. 4 or 5 years ago, I rooted against him. The only reason I'd watch him is because I wanted to see him lose. And now, he's become a fan favorite. So,
yeah,
he doesn't hit it as far as my son Tanner does. Who's now in the air.
What are we talking about?
We're talking
Bryson.
Talking Bryson.
Oh, I hold a bunker shot today. See, that guy couldn't even hold his bunker shot on 18. He only got up and down for 55 yards to win a major. I mean, he's got nothing on me.
Nothing on you.
Nothing on me.
Well, I'll let the dynamic Tan and J man take over now. I had a great pick 6 for you too. But
oh shit! Hey, give it real quick before you go.
Well, this is me going out on a limb. So I thought, I want to give you some of the famous number 6s of the world of sports.
I love it.
And I won't go back to the real famous ones because it was way before your time, like Stan Musial and Dr. J and Bill Russell. But LeBron, he was a number 6 for a while.
I always forget he was number 6.
Twice.
Was he twice? Was he 6 with the Lakers too?
For a little bit, yeah.
The dude can't make up his mind. I don't. Was there any significance to wearing number 6?
Won at 6 rings.
Yeah,
Jordan won 6 rings,
and
he wore 23 probably because of Jordan too.
So, right.
He'll forever be chasing him.
Okay. The second guy, I just went through. There was 29 guys listed, more in you guys' era. Ryan Howard.
Man, yeah, he that dude could hit. He had a 50. I want to say he hit 57 homers back in 2007 or 8. People don't remember him all that much because they're so into analytics and stuff, and his, F-WAR wasn't as high as some of these other guys. You hit 57 homers, you can hit. And that's kind of what baseball's gotten away from, is they look way too much into predictive stats and all of that, and they stop thinking, hey, can this guy hit the ball out of the ballpark and frequently? I don't even know if a guy like Ryan Howard would stick around, believe it or not, in today's game.
Go ahead.
When I think Ryan Howard, I think of our good buddy Andrew Eiler. We were over one time, Josh and I both at his house, and the Reds blew like a 4-run lead in the 9th, a walk-off homer. Ryan Howard. Andrew chucks his TV remote across the room, smacks me in the shin.
That was one of my favorite childhood memories.
Yeah. That was real good, real fun.
Here's a fun one for both of you because I think he played a little bit for both of your teams. Jay Cutler.
Oh man, don't care.
Phenomenal athlete, nothing in between the ears.
Yeah, he greatest quarterback in Bears history though.
Statistically, maybe. How about Andrew Bogut?
Man, he was National Player of the Year in 05.
Yeah.
Because I mean that Utah team was pretty good. They didn't get to the national title game and lose. But he had a pretty good NBA career. He won a few titles with Golden State.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the number 1 overall draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Sanchez.
Butt fumble.
Yeah.
Got cut by the Broncos before the preseason even started.
Yeah.
No, actually, he was on the preseason roster, I think. But yeah, before the season started, he was there. He was supposed to be the replacement for Peyton. Yeah, then he made the team.
Did T Money Wiggle went out that year? Was that the year?
Yep. And Paxton Lynch was just an
another in the fine line of Bronco quarterback history of the last 15 years.
Beautiful.
And how about Baker Mayfield?
He resurrected his career this past year. He was looking like maybe he'd have to be a backup going forward, and I mean, it helps when you're throwing to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Sure.
But he played really well.
Yeah, going to the Rams might have saved his career. People don't talk about that enough because Cleveland wasn't going well. Carolina, that was just forgettable. And then the Rams, it was a short stint, but he played well enough that the Bucs were interested and gave him a shot, and look what happened. So.
Yep, that's true. So, all right, that's my pick 6. Is number 6.
Well, thanks, Dad, for filling in. I'm not sure what you guys talked about since I just hopped on.
Golf.
But, golf. Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm out.
All right.
Good show.
Thanks, Dad. Appreciate it. That is the Pick 6 segment, which is brought to you by, like it is every week, Performer Print 2 Promo Group. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or sales meeting, Performer Print 2 Promo Group has over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for a fast and efficient response to all your print needs. You need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company today by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call at 574-210-3815.
I gave your dad the trivia question, and I said I'd give it to you once you got on. But there is one Major League Baseball player in the history of the game to make the All-Star game in both the National League and American League while playing for the same team. National League All-Star game, National League, American League All-Star game. Let me start that over.
Yeah, please. I'm lost.
One team or one player in Major League Baseball history to make both the American League All-Star team and the National League All-Star team while playing with that same team. So,
while playing with that same so they switched
leagues at one point.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
well, shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I already did the read and all that. So,
all right. But golf, I'm sure you guys covered it. My thoughts were, first off, I was happy Bryson DeChambeau won. I've been a Bryson fan since he was an amateur. Mainly one of the reasons why I liked him is he was a Cobra Puma guy. He's not anymore. They dropped the sponsorship when he went to Live. I'm sure they feel stupid now, but they were his sponsor when he won his first US Open 2020, which I forgot how weird that was. So they were showing the highlights of that yesterday. During the pandemic, barely anybody there, no applause coming up on 18 or very little applause compared to yesterday's thing. So very happy for him. I'm glad the dude is liked now because there was a time it was hard to be a Bryson DeChambeau fan because he just didn't understand what it meant to be a pro golfer. I felt like didn't say the right things, didn't treat the fans all that well. Now I think he gets it more than anybody. And the fans are giving his respect back to whereas Rory McIlroy, and I know Rory came out with a public statement today, but I thought he looked like a jerk yesterday. I know that was one of the most gut-wrenching losses probably in pro golf history. I mean, the guy hadn't missed a putt inside 4 feet all year and then missed 2 on the last 3 holes to lose the major. I mean, that, and he hadn't won a major in a decade and all that, but he should have at least went and congratulated Bryson like Bryson did to Xander Schauffele at that last month's PGA Championship. And, not talk to media, sped out. I mean, there was reports that wasn't technically a burnout, but he got the tires going a little bit out of the parking lot. He did come out with that statement today, but I lost some respect from Rory yesterday for sure. And the curse is real, my friend. The curse is freaking real.
Yeah. I would even say the J-Man curse is real if he would have won it, because you do it once and he wins. But your dad shared this stat, but I'll share it with you. Roy was 496 for 496 putting inside 3 feet this season before that miss. So.
And you could tell the one on 16 bugged him enough. He took a little more time on 18. I think he makes that one on 16. Once he gets to 18, he's not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've never been in that position, of course, to win the U.S. Open. But God, I hate 2 to 3 footers with pressure on the line. I'd rather have. I was thinking about that today. What distance would I want? Try to tie in the playoff or win. I think anywhere from 8 to 15 feet would be my distance I would feel pretty comfortable with. I mean, and I know that sounds stupid, but I'm not a good putter to begin with, and I can get the yips from short range pretty easily. Heck, I didn't make many putts for my team today. Imagine that. But no, I'm happy for Bryson. I thought it was a real good championship, and that up and down at the end on 18 was unbelievable. 55 yards. His percentage going into that shot to get it within 4 feet was like 1.7%, I believe, and he did it, and then he made the putt. So, that'll go down as not only one of the biggest, probably, quote-unquote, choke jobs in golf history by Rory, but also one of the best up and downs to win a tournament in golf history by Bryson DeChambeau. And he's only 30 years old, going to be 31 in September, so he's just now hitting his prime at 2 majors now, both U.S. Opens. And these live guys, say what you want about them, but they come to play in the majors, and it's pretty fun to watch.
We were talking about this right when you hopped on. I was about to ask your dad, and we were talking about how 5 years ago people hated Bryson.
Yes.
It's a pretty incredible turnaround over the past 5 years. What do you attribute that to?
I think, kind of like I mentioned earlier, it's him understanding how to be a pro a little more, becoming more mature. He got paid by Liv. Everybody's like, good, get him out of here. We don't need him. He had that conflict with Brooks Koepka. Now they're boys, that they're both on Liv. Now they're friends. And he started becoming more of a content creator too on YouTube. He has a really fun channel to follow where he'll pick out different people around the golf world, and they try to play a scramble on different golf courses to break 60. And then he also does things whereas like he went to Walmart one day and bought a junior set and played a whole 18 holes with a junior set to see what he could shoot. And his personality has shined more. And yesterday he signed for a kid off the 10th hole when he was done during the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
He went and signed an autograph after the round on Saturday night. He told everybody to go to the opposite side of the practice area or the range, and he signed until there was nobody else to sign for. Those are things Phil Mickelson used to do. I think he's surrounded himself with good people, finally, a good circle. And he's Scotty Scheffler's the dude as far as the best golfer in the world, but I think Bryson DeChambeau is the most exciting golfer in the world to watch, and he might be the fan favorite. I saw somebody on X today say he's the Ricky Fowler who wins majors, because Ricky's been a fan favorite for years, but he just can't get it done in the majors. And boy, he didn't make the cut. He played absolutely horrendous Friday. Speaking of Ricky, of course, and I got thinking, I still think he's got another win or two left in him. I mean, I think he's going to turn 37 in December, if I'm correct, 36 or 37. So I think he's got a few more wins left in him, but I'm really starting to wonder if he's ever going to win a major. I think last year in that U.S. Open, he had to lead after 3 rounds going to the final round and couldn't get it done. That might have been his last best shot, but we'll see. It's just so hard to get done. You only get 4 chances a year, and it's tough. But very, very cool tournament. USGA did a good job making Pinehurst number 2 the hardest they could, and that course made some of the best golfers in the world look like absolute fools at times, and I enjoy that because it makes me, hey, they're like me sometimes. So,
this guy on Twitter, I favorited this thread, talking about Bryson, how much he used to hate Bryson. He said, "Well, okay, Bryson, I've had beef with you since the John Deere Classic when you kept us from mowing the range until 10 p.m. when we had a 3:30 a.m. report time. You also told us our green speeds our greens speed recording was incorrect by 0.2.
Yep.
That's the kind of stuff that people hated him for.
Yep.
There was no, hey, thanks for being patient. Hey, sorry, we'll be out of here shortly. Nothing. He was a jerk about just everything. But the guy said he forgave him. So
yeah, I think he's definitely grown up, and he still has weird quirks about himself, and that's kind of what I like about him. I guess he was a physics major at SMU, so he's a very numbers guy, and like he was talking after round 3 how he puts his golf balls in Epsom salt and lets them float before the round to figure out which ones weigh differently than the other ones. And he went to all these numbers and like how the ones that come out of the factory, they're not technically blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, that's pretty fascinating, but like, God, you're a nerd. And that's what people love about him. Like he's always trying to fight the advantage. You know, he plays the 1-length irons, which nobody else does, or at least did at the time till he came on tour, and always doing things differently. And he does a speed training, swings harder than anybody out there. And hey, it works for him, makes him exciting to watch. And we got a comment here from Thad Mooney on Facebook. There was a picture of Bryson signing autographs around 10 to 11 p.m. I was anti-Bryson for years. He's grown up in the way he's reciprocated the love of the crowd. He's becoming the people's champion. That's well said.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they were rooting for him over McIlroy, who's always been a fan favorite. And I will say, I did not like when Roy missed the putt on 16. Some people in the crowd started chanting USA.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty distasteful.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
But Zach Johnson sure looks stupid right now, not putting him on the Ryder Cup team. And it sucks that he's not one of the 4 guys that's going to be representing the U.S. in the Olympics, because he should be. But the world golf rankings is just dumb that the live guys can't get points. They got to figure that out. I know they play 3-day tournaments with no cuts. You got to figure it out, because some of the world's best players, if not 2 or 3 of the world's top 5 players, play on that tour. You got to figure it out. It's no fair for the fans.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and Bryson did say, thanks for asking about my salty balls. So he had some fun with that when they were asking about the salt questions. So yeah, very good tournament. Hard to believe that golf is down to 1 more major next month. But, hey, man, it's just like the year 2024 is flying by. So.
Yeah.
Do you guys talk about anything else besides golf?
Nope, just golf.
Okay, all right. So NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Game 5 tonight. Boston 6.5-point favorites over the Mavericks. The Mavericks did find a way to convincingly win Game 4. Game 3, once Luka fouled out, I knew they were pretty much done with 3.5 minutes left. And it doesn't help that they keep digging themselves in these unbelievable deficits. What do you think happens in Game 5 now? You think the Celtics close it out in 5?
Yeah. Is it back in Boston, or is it still in Dallas?
I think it's back in. I'm guessing it's back in Boston, saying they're 6.5-point favorites.
That would make sense.
Let me check that real quick, though.
This will be the J-Man's book it prediction of the week.
It is in Boston.
Yeah. I think Boston wins fairly handily. It is interesting, though. There's always this. Everyone always talks about Jason Tatum. Can he be the dude? His efficiency has been terrible. He hasn't played that good in the finals, and so I think that'll always be a consistent topic people are talking about, because he has a really good team around him. But he'll be, 25, 26 years old with a title under his belt. It's hard to really complain about the guy who's the best player on a national or an NBA Finals championship team.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think, after getting embarrassed, I mean, it was a 40-point whooping. It was one of the biggest margins in NBA Finals history, if not the biggest. I think Boston bounces back. I guess Brian Windhorst on ESPN said he had a real hard time finding any spot to do any sort of spot because a lot of people were wearing F LeBron shirts for whatever reason, and he had a hard time getting the camera set up where one of them wasn't in it for ESPN.
That's pretty funny.
So for some reason they're talking about LeBron. I don't know.
But
J-Man's Book It Prediction of the Week brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau insurance agent Travis Watchering. For life, home, auto, business, renters, workers' comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watchering@infb.com.
I'm going to say the Mavericks somehow steal one on the road tonight, and I'm only saying that because I picked Boston in 6 originally going into the series. So I'm going to stick to my guns there, but it wouldn't shock me if Boston wins very easily tonight. It's amazing what Brad Stevens has done with this franchise since he stopped being their coach and went to the front office. I mean, he's constructed, a roster that's going to be built around two young studs and Tatum and Brown. They're both they're due for huge contracts. I don't know if you re-sign a lot of their supporting cast, but their supporting cast has been the reason why they're up 3-1 in the series. So, yeah, they should be good for the next 5 to 6 years. They should. This should not be their last finals appearance.
You look at those guys. They traded for Derek White, didn't give up a whole lot. Traded for Kristaps Porzingis. I think the guy they traded was Marcus Smart, essentially, who was a good defender.
Yeah, he was.
And then Al Horford's hanging around, still being productive. Even a guy like Xavier Tillman off the bench has had some good moments for him.
Unbelievable.
Peyton Pritchard off the bench has had some good moments for him. So trading for Drew Holiday, gave up nothing. He's one of the best defensive players in the NBA. I mean, he pretty much, not single-handedly, but he was massive with a massive steal against Indianapolis that prevented the Pacers from winning a game. But he's been a fantastic pick. Gave up essentially nothing for him. So Brad's better at being a GM maybe than he is as a head coach. He was pretty dang good as a head coach.
Yes, he was.
College and NBA level.
So it's it feels like, and I know we talked about this a lot when it comes to NBA and NHL. It just feels like the playoffs last forever because they
Long
do.
time.
But both could be done here in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
I don't think. Well, let's see. This tells you how closely I'm following the NHL. I'm trying to make sure that one's not closed out already.
I think it's 3-1.
Because the next game's tomorrow night. I was hoping it wasn't.
Edmonton scored 8 goals the other night.
Yes, they did 8-1 at home. I think the Panthers get it done back at home. Then it's on the Dolphins, J-Man. I mean, everybody else in Florida is winning championships, at least in the last couple decades. So now it's on the Dolphins' shoulders.
It is on the Dolphins. If not won one in 50 years. So they're due.
I got to think about this. They're the only professional team in Florida not to make a championship appearance in the 2000s. Out of them all.
Miami team or Florida team?
Florida team.
Jacksonville didn't.
Oh, my God. I forgot about them. Sorry.
I was going to say, don't be doing that to me.
They're very forgettable. Well, they did get to the AFC Championship. We're up 14 points.
They got to the AFC Championship. I'll give them that.
But I completely forgot about the Jaguars. But I was thinking,
Orlando.
Or Magic, Heat, Lightning, Rays, Marlins,
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Panthers. Yeah.
It's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, they got a pretty good shot this year, I'd say. But
I don't know about getting to a Super Bowl, but
they'll be one of the favorites in the AFC. So
they should put themselves at least in a spot to get there at least.
Maybe stay away from Kansas City till the AFC
Stay away
Championship.
From Kansas City and Buffalo would be nice, or Baltimore.
Buffalo's going to take a step back, I think. But going back to the NBA, that was a little rabbit hole. But going back to the NBA, I haven't been watching this series a bunch.
I literally, the only minutes of the NBA Finals I watched was Friday night when it was an absolute blowout. So I'm right there with you, T-Dog. But yeah, NBA Finals, Jason Tatum needs to be better. We need Jaylen Brown to be better than they were the other night. I'm not a Celtics fan at all. I don't really like the Celtics at all. Yeah.
J-Man, I'll be right back. I accidentally locked my wife out of the house. So. I'll be right back.
Classic T-Dog. Give me the Celtics, maybe not fairly handily, but I do think they win at home, and I think they cover that 6.5. Luka Doncic was unbelievable the other night with over 25 points in the first half. They got good minutes from guys like Josh Green had a big dunk. Derek Lively had some great minutes off the bench. Kyrie had his moments. They need all of those guys to be very, very good. Even Tim Hardaway Jr. To be very, very good tonight in what will be a very hostile environment where Boston can taste their first title in the NBA in 15 years, 2009, I think it was 2009, 2008. I think it was been 2008 since the last time the Boston Celtics have won a title. Not that the city of Boston really needs a title, as they have. The city of Boston does not need a title. I was just saying, because they have won an incredible amount. I saw a kid who was graduating high school. He's seen like 12 titles or something like that of the Boston teams over the 18 years. Laces out, Dan. That's what I tell myself. Yeah. But I was saying Luka was unbelievable the other night, and they need him to replicate that and get help from Kyrie and guys like Derek Lively off the bench was fantastic. So, but I do think Boston wins.
And I shared this last week when my dad was filling for it, and I don't know if you caught any of the show last week, but Kyrie is 0-12 in Boston, I believe. Or no, it was against the Celtics, I believe. So now that's false. But he was since stomping on their midcourt logo as part of the Nets.
Yeah.
So he's not liked in that city.
He is not liked in a lot of cities in the NBA.
Especially Boston. I'd say he's the most hated athlete in Boston right now.
Probably. Yeah.
Yep. But any more NBA thoughts? We got the draft coming up soon.
Yeah, draft is next Thursday.
I didn't even know the date of it.
I literally just looked it up 5 minutes ago. So
I'm just curious where Big Maple's going to go.
Yeah,
so.
Fairly big draft news was the Terrence Shannon stuff that happened last week. He went to trial he was accused of rape, and his defense thoroughly defended that. There was no video evidence, DNA evidence, no eyewitnesses, and the jury deliberated for less than 2 hours, which means it was pretty dang convincing that he was innocent. So he was found not guilty, and it's nice because you just don't know until the trial happens, and then when every piece of evidence that in either side has, then you can form a case. But it was pretty clear that Terrence Shannon was innocent, and a lot of people owe him an apology, especially the national media.
They won't do it, though.
They absolutely won't. They won't do it. The fan base is chanting no means no at him. I saw Northwestern was the only one that said, "Hey, sorry, man."
They would.
They'd be the only one, but yeah.
And when Purdue played Illinois at home, he wasn't part of their team.
He wasn't part of it.
And which makes me ask, okay, so they still made the Elite Eight, still had a great season, Big Ten tournament champions, second place in the Big Ten regular season. What do you think changes in their season if he wasn't suspended at all? If anything, about their end result?
I don't think the end result changes. An Elite Eight appearance is pretty dang good, and I'm not.
That's what I was trying to. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they lose at home to Maryland.
Yeah.
They were 4-2 without him. One was at Purdue.
Right.
I mean, they lose by 5, but who knows? That game could play out completely different. Illinois could win, but they also could still lose. I mean, I'm not even going to say, but
because Purdue got up big that one, but then
and then
storming back,
chipped away. I mean, it could have played out differently, but I'm not going to say it does because no one wins in Purdue. So I honestly think the season goes the exact same, and it was pretty incredible how the team stuck together through Shannon being out and going 4-2. I mean, they won. They beat Indiana. I think they beat Indiana with him. They blew out Northwestern in the first game without him. Loosed Purdue. I do not remember who else they played, but they stuck together. I mean, they had to completely change their system. Then he comes back and he's rusty those first 3 or 4 games, and they survive those. And then he goes on that incredible run in the Big Ten tournament, which is a guy playing with a guilt-free mind, because he could have had the weight of the world on his shoulders, which it still was, but he obviously knew he was innocent. But I honestly don't think the season plays out any differently. Because they would have had to. They lost to Purdue at home with him. The final game second of last game of the regular season. They win that, things could be different, but they didn't. So,
which I heard Matt Painter talk about on a episode of the Boiler Ball podcast. That was his favorite win of the year.
I bet.
That's what a lot of players have said, that same thing, because Illinois, when they had their whole roster, I mean, they're really very talented and dangerous, and that was a hostile environment to go in and win was that was a really good one.
And the fact, I think Illinois got up 10 in the first half. They played pretty well. Purdue was obviously second best team in the country this year.
Yeah.
And especially a Big Ten game, and that essentially won them the Big Ten title because you knew it was over at that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so what are you seeing or hearing? You think? I mean, is it Kiki late first round, or is it probably more second round? Or
every mock draft I've seen has him in the top 25.
Okay.
In that 25 to 15 range, but so was Io DeSumo, and he fell to 38 or whatever.
And a lot of times it's just what team.
What honestly hurts him is he played college for 5 years. He's not a 19-year-old,
right?
And that dings him, which it's probably not fair because I think Shannon can come in and play decent minutes right away, like an Io does, but that's not how the NBA thinks.
Nope. And this is the weakest draft in years, so that helps his case.
That absolutely helps his case,
which I'm seeing Zach mocked anywhere from like 12 to 22.
Mm-hmm.
But also, and we don't follow the NBA too closely when it comes to this. We don't know about the foreign town either.
Yeah.
So that's always something you got to take in consideration too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But as you said, it is considered one of the weakest drafts, maybe since 2013, when I saw Anthony Bennett go on.
I could not think of his first name the other day for the life of me. I knew it was Bennett. I'm like, Kenny? No, it's Kenny Bennett. Doesn't sound right. And I was going through all these names. Anthony. I wanted to call him Tony, but that was Virginia's coach, Tony.
I mean, Anthony Bennett, he could go by Tony.
Yeah.
Now, that draft did bring Giannis. I think he went like 16th overall. So it was a complete bust. So who knows? You pick a guy in the mid-teens or in the 20s, and he could turn out to be a star. But,
well, look at Jokic, 41st. The drafted during a Taco Bell commercial.
Yeah. Three-time MVP now?
Yeah, 3 out of the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Pretty good. So, do you want to get educated?
Let's do it.
All right, let's look at some sporting events that happened on this day on June 17th. Let's say in 1880, Providence Grays MLB pitcher John M. Ward threw a perfect game, beating the Buffalo Bisons 5-0. It's the second perfect game in National League in 6 days. The next one took 84 years.
Dang. Yeah, that was the dead ball era.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Maybe you've heard of this guy. I don't know. On this day, 1927, who won the U.S. Men's Golf Open?
I do not know.
Tommy Armour. He had a. I don't think they do anything, but for a while they used to make clubs and balls and apparel. I don't think they're a company anymore. He defeated Harry Cooper by 3 strokes in the 18-hole playoff to win the first of his 3 major titles. Let's see here. On this day, 1943, player-manager Joe Cronin of the Red Sox hit 2 3-run pinch home runs. It says pinch home runs.
Maybe he pinch hit a 3-run homer, stayed in, then hit another 3-run homer.
Yeah, that would make sense. That wasn't very great from a grammar perspective. On this day, 1951, the most runs scored in one inning were scored by the Boston Red Sox, 17.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
A lot of Red Sox. On this day in 1960, Ted Williams hit his 500th career home run.
Teddy ball game.
On this day in 1962, Chicago Cub Lou Brock is second to homer into Polo Grounds right center field bleachers.
Yeah, and they traded him for Ernie Broglio, and Lou Brock turns into one of the greatest players ever.
On this day, 1962, who won the U.S. Open?
I'm going to go with Jack Nicklaus.
It was his first major title. His first of 18. He won by 3 strokes in the 18-hole playoff over Arnold Palmer. On this day, 1973, who won the U.S. Open?
Jack Nicklaus.
Johnny freaking Miller fired a record final round of 63 to win his first major championship, 1 stroke ahead of runner-up John Sheely.
He's not on TV anymore, is he?
Thank God. It's been a great few years without him on TV. I could not stand that guy. On this day, 1976, the ABA, which was the Nets, Pacers, Nuggets, and Spurs, merged into the NBA.
No.
I thought it was earlier than that for some reason. On this day, in 1978, Louisiana Lightning set a Yankees record with 18 strikeouts in a game. Oh, 1988. Mike Tyson did something bad. All right, we got a bunch of U.S. Open. We're going to fire through them. On this day, 1990, who won the U.S. Open?
No idea.
A guy named Hale Irwin won his third Open title, defeating Mike Donald at the 91st hole, the first in sudden death after tying the 18-hole Monday playoff. On this day, 1991, who won the U.S. Open?
Seve Ballesteros.
Good guess. Payne Stewart won a Monday playoff with 1987 champion Scott Simpson. On this day, 1992, the Philadelphia 76ers traded Charles Barkley, knucklehead, to the Phoenix Suns.
Round mound of rebound.
Chuckster's retiring after this next year. The NBA is going to, TNT is their last year. Next year, then they're going to go NBC, ESPN, I believe Amazon. It's a three-way split, I believe. I could be wrong about the Amazon. I know it's NBC and ESPN. And he doesn't want to work for anybody outside Turner. I think a lot of that's because Ernie Johnson's not going to work for anybody outside Turner. Yeah. So inside the NBA, arguably one of the best sports shows on TV, 2024-25 is the last year for that. So that's a shame. On this day, 1997, NHL announced it will add a franchise in Nashville. In 1998 became the Predators. Atlanta in 1999 became the Thrashers, who have since moved to Winnipeg to become the Jets again. And Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Columbus, Ohio in 2000, which became the Wild and the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that hockey didn't go very well in Atlanta.
No. And Winnipeg should have never lost the Jets in the first place. So.
Yeah.
On this day, 2003, Moneyball, a book about the 2003 Oakland Athletics baseball team and GM Billy Bean's approach, inspired by Bill James, is published.
One of my favorite baseball movies ever, but the book is even incredibly better.
I was going to ask you if you read the book.
Yeah, Bill James has kind of turned out to be a little bit of a get off my lawn type over the years, but yeah.
On this day in 2007, who won the U.S. Open?
Phil.
Angel Cabrera won his first major title, one stroke ahead of Jim Furyk and Tiger Woods. First Open won by an Argentine or a South American. On this day in 2008, who won the NBA Finals?
With Boston Celtics, right?
Celtics beat the Lakers 131-92 in Game 6 for their first title since 1986 and 17th overall. Who was the MVP?
2008. Paul Pierce.
The
truth.
Who won the NBA Finals on this day in 2010?
2010 was the LA Lakers, correct?
Lakers beat the Celtics 83-79 in Game 7 for the franchise's sixth NBA title. Who was the MVP?
Kobe.
The late, great Kobe Bryant himself. Who won the U.S. Open on this day in 2012?
Tiger.
Webb Simpson won his first and only major title, one stroke ahead of runner-up Graham McDowell and Michael Thompson. It was a very forgettable U.S. Open, in my opinion. The thing most memorable was a drunk guy somehow got in front of Webb Simpson afterwards and started cackling like a bird. Like he got in front of him, and then security grabs him and takes him off camera. It was just, God, who was the guy? Hicks for NBC, commentator.
Oh, yeah.
He was there standing with Webb Simpson, like, what is going on?
Isn't Hicks doing Notre Dame games again this year?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right, which they have the easiest home schedule I've ever seen a Notre Dame team have. I think they're going to be very good anyways. And we'll get into our football predictions next month in August. But I'm just saying that on paper, their home schedule this year's, they should run the table. On this day in 2018, who won the U.S. Open?
Jordan Spieth.
Good guess. Brooks Koepka. Won by one stroke over Tommy Fleetwood for first back-to-back Open titles since Curtis Strange did so in 1988 and 89. And on this day last year, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim's designated hitter Shohei Ohtani hit his 150th career home run in a 10-9 loss to the Royals at Kauffman Stadium. So, yeah, that's going to do it from the On This Day segment, which is brought to you by, like it is every week, Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated woodcraft shop based out of Texas with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs that fit your needs, and their pieces are a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. You can see some of their recently completed projects by visiting them on Instagram and on Facebook at Mooney Woodcrafts. And if you let them know the Tan and J-Man Show sent you, you get 15% off your first sign order. So get your sign orders in, whether you're a sports fan, want a sign made for your family, maybe you're a veteran of the military or active duty of the military, or have a family member or friend that was either one. Makes a perfect gift for anybody. So he does great work, woodworking, no pun intended. So yes, get a hold of that. Tell him Tan Jamin Show sent you 15% off your first order. All right, Jay, man, we made it 45 minutes into the show. Now it's time to talk some baseball. I tried to stay away from it as long as I did for you, but we need some filler for some context. So, yeah, you're up.
The Cubs have the third worst record in the National League now. They are dead last in the National League Central at 34-38. Getting great starting pitching. Absolutely fantastic starting pitching. You look at their rotation. Shota Imanaga, 1.89 ERA. Javier Assad, 2.81 ERA. Jameson Taillon, 3.08 ERA. Justin Steele, 3.22 ERA. They've been great. The problem is, since April 30th, the Chicago Cubs offense, 29th in runs per game, 30th in batting average, 30th in slugging percentage, 30th in batting average with runners in scoring position.
Who's worse for them in runs per game?
Probably the White Sox.
That's that. Yeah.
Although it might not be, because the White Sox have more homers this month
than
any White Sox team in franchise history, including the 2005 team.
That's
hit
crazy.
24 homers. I know.
That's crazy.
The Cubs bullpen, 15 blown saves already. Albert Alzolay was ineffective and he got hurt in April. Hector Neris comes in and he has been an absolute disaster. And finally, his ERA is matching up to how bad he's pitched. 6.7 walks per 9 innings. He's only striking out 8 batters per 9, giving up hits. He blew a one-run lead on. He blew a one-run lead on Tuesday. He almost blew a 2-run lead on Wednesday. Then Mark Leiter Jr. comes in and blows the 2-run lead on Thursday against the Tampa Bay Rays. It's bad. Everything's bad right now. The offense, as I said, has been just a miserable collection of ineffective veterans that just do not hit anymore. Nico Horner, ever since he blew out his hamstring, he's been one of the worst hitters in baseball. Dansby Swanson, his contract's looking as bad, if not worse, than the Jason Hayward one a few years ago. Christopher Morel, I keep hearing how, his predictive stats, everything points towards him having a breakout. He's still hitting 195, and here we are in the middle of June. We're post-Father's Day now. He's 9% below league average hitter. Maybe this is who he is. Ian Happ had a nice little 2-week stretch, and then he went 2 for his next 27. Next, Cody Bellinger signed a 3-year, $80 million deal with potential opt-out after this year. He's not opting out because he's been so bad. He went a stretch of 80 plate appearances where he walked 1 time. Next, Seiya Suzuki. Pretty good, pretty consistent. No complaints. Still looks at strike 3 a little too much, but no complaints with him. Mike Tauchman, leading the team in on-base percentage, which is great until you see that it's only 354. The fact that he's having to play the fact that he's getting as many plate appearances as he is, and I said this before the season, that if he's having to play this big of a role, something went terribly wrong. Here we are. Third worst record in the National League in June. Pete Crow Armstrong, he is exciting. Can't hit, but he's exciting. Great defensive outfielder. Arguably the best defensive center fielder in baseball already. He is 1 run below the top guy in outs above average out there in center field, and he's played 200 less innings. He's 12 for 12 on steals. Not in the lineup tonight, though, for some reason. Yan Gomes, he has been the worst hitter in baseball this year. He is 14 for 91. He struck out 36 times in 96 plate appearances. That's good for an 18 OPS plus, which is 82% below league average. Next, their starting catcher, Miguel Amaya, hitting 190. The DH is in the National League. I don't know if Jed Hoyer got the memo, but you're hitting a pitcher in the 9 spot every time, and you're still letting him go out there and play catcher, even though they've been the worst defensive duo in all of sports.
He probably
Next,
still use a fax machine, so he probably got lost somewhere.
probably does.
Yeah.
Patrick Wisdom, who's their best bench guy, is hitting 192. David Bodie's not getting any plate appearances, which is okay with me. But he has been pretty good in his short time up back in the big leagues so far. Michael Busch has been good. He's in a very nice stretch. He's arguably been the best hitter the past month or so, and it's very good to see because he's one of their young guys. But it's bad on the north side. 3 years ago, Jed Hoyer talked about the good teams blow teams out, and that's what we're trying to do, is go blow teams out again. And here they are 3 years later in the midst of their second rebuild in 12 years, and they have played more one-run games than any team in the sport. And they're losing them now, too, because the bullpen's been so bad. They've played so many 3-2 games, 2-1 games. If the offense had just been average or even slightly below average during this stretch, they'd be 4 or 5 games over 500, and we'd be sitting here, hey, we got a good 3 or 4 game cushion in that second wild card spot. Not that means anything in June, but it's time for Jed to go. I've been talking about this for about 6 weeks now. It should have been a huge year for him coming in, and I don't know if he felt the heat at all. For years, he's talked about intelligent spending, and so they've spent it on Dansby Swanson, gave him $180 million, $160 million, whatever he got, and he's hitting 209 in the middle of June in the second year. He refuses to trade from his farm system depth. Sure, they're a consensus top 2 or 3 farm system in baseball by every prognosticator. Not a single guy in this system projects as a superstar, and for some reason, Jed is sitting there waiting for these guys to turn into Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant and Javi Baez again. And it's not. You look around baseball, and the Baltimore Orioles are the only team that you can say, man, look at their lineup. All of them are homegrown. The Dodgers signed Shohei Ohtani, signed Freddie Freeman, traded for Mookie Betts. The Yankees even, I know Aaron Judge came up through the system, but Juan Soto, Anthony Rizzo, who hasn't been very good, but Giancarlo Stanton.
DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah. Anthony Volpe, who did come up through the
Garrett
system.
Cole.
Garrett Cole, yeah. So he's waiting for these guys to do it, and you need to trade from your farm system depth. That's why it's there, to go and get these established major leaguers. I know Vlad Guerrero Jr. has been mentioned as a potential trade candidate. Why are you going to trade for him now? I know it would be for the future, but I'm not willing to give up one of their top prospects for a guy like Vlad Guerrero Jr. just to make a panic move. But it's reached the point where Jed probably needs to make a panic move or he's going to lose his job, unless he's doing exactly what the Ricketts want, which is staying below that luxury tax, putting enough people in the stands that is making them money. Look, this weekend against Cardinals, 40K, 40,000 people in the stands. That's all Tom cares about. Couldn't care less about putting a quality major league roster out there. As long as they're right around 500, he'll pretend like they care enough to make the playoffs. And here we are, June, in year 4 under Jed Hoyer, and they're worse off now than they were last year, which should not have been the case. I'm not even talking. This wasn't a World Series or bust year. This wasn't even like a division or bust year. They needed to put forward a team that looked like they can compete. In June 17th, I cannot say they put their best effort out there. And I want Jed Hoyer fired. I think Craig Counsell's done as good a job as he possibly could with this roster. And it's not working out anymore, and they need an aggressive guy in there. It's very clear that Jed was Theo's Robin to Theo's Batman. So fire Jed Hoyer and things might start turning around. It's not turning around this year, though. They're not going to magically turn things around. They'll start playing better. I mean, they're not going to continue losing 70% of their games. That's just not how baseball works. They'll hit a little bit of a hot streak, and The National League is so bad. I mean, you have the final wild card team here, which is the Cardinals right now. I think they're right at 500. Yeah, they're 35-35.
And their fan base is chirping. I've
Yeah.
seen it on social media, especially
Yeah.
after this weekend.
Yeah, I have emotionally checked out with this Cubs team. I'll still watch them, but I no longer live and die with each pitch. If they lose, couldn't care less. If they win, couldn't care less. And that's honestly the worst feeling in sports.
Thad Moody texted me and said Josh's house is going to catch fire with all that steam coming off his head.
Yeah, I'm angry. And a lot of Cubs fans are angry as I am.
Well, you got the hashtag fire Jed going almost as well as the hashtag fire Beckman got going back in the day. So you're well on your way, my friend.
Yeah, Jed is not on Twitter that I know of, but
he probably has a burner. He probably has a burner out there.
They all have burners, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But Timmy blocked me. Blocked a lot of people. Tim would block anyone that would say a negative word about his wife's lasagna.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Dang it, you took it out of my mouth.
Sorry, I took the joke.
That's right. Man, I want some lasagna.
But, me too. That sounds pretty dang good. But Cubs stink. Elsewhere around baseball, New York Yankees are really good. They did lose 2 out of 3 to Boston. Yep. Not that Boston's a threat. They're 12 out, but it's a 2-horse race out there in the American League East. Yankees 50-24, Baltimore 47-24. It's the best top 2, probably the best 2 teams in the sport. The Phillies are 27-24, but and I think the Phillies just took 2 or 3 from Baltimore. But Baltimore is really good. Cleveland and Kansas City are really good. Minnesota's pretty good. In the AL Central, all within 5.5 games. The Seattle Mariners are kind of separating themselves there in the AL West. 8.5 games up on the defending World Series champ, Texas Rangers.
Because the city heard about the good possibility of the Sonics coming back. So they're pumped.
Sparked them.
They got the momentum.
The Mariners are 12 games over 500. Rangers are 5 under. Houston, I'm still thinking they're going to catch fire, but they did catch fire, and they still couldn't gain any ground. 9 out. Phillies are running away with the East right now, so the Braves just can't hit. It's kind of a conundrum. I know Acuna's out, but they weren't hitting even before Acuna got hurt. But Braves are still pretty solid, and they should make the playoffs. Washington, though, 35-36. They're only a half game out of a wild card spot right now. So they've been kind of surprising. They pitch very, very well in Washington. Milwaukee 6.5 up on St. Louis, and then out in the NL West, the Dodgers are 8 up. They have some pretty bad injury luck here this week. Yamamoto, their top Japanese pitcher they signed in the offseason, has I forget what his injury is, but they don't know if he'll be back until September. So that's huge news. Clayton Kershaw is working his way back, but I haven't heard any news out of him. And then Mookie Betts got hit on the wrist yesterday and fractured his wrist, and they think he'll be out a couple months. So without your 2 top guys there, of course they still have Shohei Ohtani. But that division's bad enough that the Dodgers should be okay. But as long as they get healthy for the postseason at this point, I think that's all Dodgers fans really care about. But I think that's about going to do it for my baseball talk this week, mercifully.
I got nothing on the baseball front, so that was all you, my friend.
Birdie Bogey, there is one player in Major League Baseball history to have made the All-Star game in both the National League and the American League while playing for the same franchise.
Well, the Astros switched from the NL to the AL in 2013. Before that, I think the last team to do it was the Brewers, who switched from the AL to the NL in 1998. I can't think of any decent Brewer growing up. I mean, Jeff Jenkins, and Richie Sexton. I'm like, I don't think they did it. I think it's an Astro. I'm probably wrong. I don't think this guy, I don't even remember he played back in 2013. He might be too young, but I'm going with Jose Altuve.
You got it. You got it, Birdie. Yep. It is Altuve. I knew that's where you were going with once you said
I didn't get many birdies today, or we didn't as a team, so it feels good to get one.
Jose Altuve is the only player to ever do it. Thanks for watching the Tan and J-Man Show. We'll be back at her next Monday with another episode. Have a fantastic week, everybody.